And our main goal for this session is really simple. We would like you to walk away feeling inspired and ready to take your menu to the next level. We have a lot of ideas and trends that we cannot wait to share with you. My name is Alexandre Sonnet, and I'm the Global Strategy and Insight Manager for Nestlé Professional. So before we start, we would like to know you a bit better. So we have a short poll to get a better view of you and your team and how you are organized. Can you please have a look at this poll that should appear quickly, and check the right box related to what you have in your team. So if you have a dedicated pastry chef, or if you don't have a dedicated pastry chef, but one of your chefs is taking care of this, or if you are relying on different resources. So we are leaving you a few minutes to answer this, and we'll come back with the results in a moment. All right. In the meantime, I would like to introduce you to the team of experts who is joining me today. First, we have Kalaiji, our global confectionery manager, and she's really an expert of everything with a touch of chocolate. Then we have Marina, global dairy manager, who is our expert in all dairy-based sweets, innovation, and application. And last but not least, we have Emmanuel, our global executive chef, who brings a wealth of knowledge and expertise to our team. And together, we're excited to share with you our insight and get discovered with you. So if we look now at the result of the poll, first, interestingly, there is almost half that have a dedicated pastry chef, and 20%, almost 20% that don't have a dedicated pastry chef. It's really interesting because with these reports, we have designed this as inspiration for people that don't have too many resources in kitchen to bring and elevate your menu, but also some new ideas and twists for pastry chef to also bring this dessert menu to the next level. All right. So going now to the next slide. I would like first to give you a bit of a context about the research that we did and especially how we have selected those trends. So we have conducted a broad analysis with the aim of examining how top renowned dessert trends are being reinvented, but also what are the top emerging dessert trends that will make a significant impact in the future. To do that, we could rely on an extensive network of food professionals worldwide that explored menu, went on the ground, look at restaurants, look at the menu, but also scroll through a lot of different social media. With this expertise and connection, this has allowed us to identify the most relevant and impactful trends. But before that, we need to understand also the context and what are the big forces of changes that are influencing trends. And we have selected three. The first one is about global economic uncertainty. And we see that a lot of consumers are seeking comfort through foods. Many of the trending desserts are traditional classics, but being reinvented through flavor or formats and adding a contemporary twist on familiarity. With the tradition comes also a lot of nostalgia, and consumers are seeking comfort in the past to evoke happy memories, and also bringing flavor that are bringing good childhood memories. The second one is about the lift of restriction. And with that, consumers are more and more eating with their hands. Thus, handheld desserts such as sandwiches are trending and offering convenience and fun. On the other side, we see that dining out has become a real treat, so a premium and elevated experience is expected, and this is being delivered through presentation and premium experience. The third one is about Asian flavor and desserts, and really Asian influence has a big impact on the global culinary scene. This is being done through the integration of Asian ingredients into Western formats, or the rise of authentic Asian desserts, especially Japanese. Of course, changing consumer behavior is very important. But what do today's consumers care about? We think that there are 5 macro-social trends and drivers that you can keep in mind when you are thinking about what's important for your customer. The central one is about conscious control, as people need to treat planet and people with more respect. And it's no longer about pure individualism. Then we have food democracy. As uncertain and changing times, this introduces new thoughts, principles, and concepts. Fine dining is becoming more fun, retro dishes are updated, and recipe hacks are going very viral. Then we have the green life, meaning that there is a growing realization that we have to take responsibility for our own environmental footprint. And food there plays a very important role. Then blissful escape, as in uncertain times, consumers believe they have earned indulgence, and this drives the need to engage the senses, bringing even more extreme experiences. Finally, make me stronger, as we are increasingly trusting the latest science to achieve our greatest potential. This is creating a kind of cult of wellness, and food plays there also a critical role. All right, so we had the context. Now, this is how we would like to present you the main dessert trends. So we are using this trend establishment framework. So as I said, we are leveraging our internal and external network of food professionals, and there we analyze thousands of desserts. And for each of those, we ask ourselves 2 key questions. First, which top desserts are regaining momentum, and how are they being reinvented to appeal to consumers? And second, which emerging dessert trends are set to have a significant impact in the future? And then we plotted them on the curve that we see there. On the left, you will see all the desserts that have still a low to moderate public awareness, but that are starting to generate buzz on specialized network and on social media. Those are desserts that you can find on fine dining and fast casual chain, for example. And on the right, so the more you move to the right, the more you have desserts that have a higher awareness and appearing a lot on mainstream media, and that have a high prevalence on all food service channels, even workplace canteens, quick service channel, for example. All right, so today we will be looking at a selection of dessert trends at different levels of this trend curve, looking at a few timeless classics, 2 emerging global desserts, and also a selection of local desserts that have made a significant impact within their respective region. So without further ado, I would like to hand over to Marina, and she will share more about those top desserts.
Thank you very much, Alex. So I'm going to be taking you through a selection of the 12 desserts that we have available in our report. So following this webinar, you will be able to access the link to download this full report, but in a matter of time management, today I'm only going to share with you 5 of these global trends. We are aiming at making this webinar as interactive as possible. So you should see on your screen now the second question of the poll coming up. So tell us, from this list of desserts between mousse, waffles, tiramisu, crème brûlée, French toast, lemon meringue pie, sandwiches, mochi, soufflé pancakes, s'mores, banoffee reinvented, and croissant wheels, which ones do you have currently available on your menu? I'll just give a couple of minutes to start seeing some results. We have quite a nice even spread in between all of them.
A big fight between brownie and cheese.
Yes. We see that tiramisu, lemon meringue pie, sorry, and crème brûlée are coming quite high, and sandwiches are quite low. So I'm very happy because we will be talking to you a little bit more into what our sandwiches are doing on a desserts menu here today. So I'll share with you a bit more details. Great. So it seems that tiramisu is winning, followed by mousse and crème brûlée. So that's perfect. I'm gonna jump into the first dessert that we're gonna be talking about today. So this is the tiramisu. If slide wants to change, yes. So tiramisu, this is a very famous traditional Italian dessert, which is rich in coffee and cocoa flavor with an indulgent, creamy texture that answers consumers' quest to seek for familiar comfort. This Italian dessert is made of soaking Savoiardi biscuits in Marsala wine, traditionally, or amaretto and coffee, before laying it with mascarpone cream and topping it with cocoa powder. This is really seeing a big reborn now with new dessert formats and very contemporary flavors, including flavors coming from the Asian region, like matcha or black sesame, as well as alcohol twists. Key channels where we are seeing this dessert finding home on menus is our cafes, bakery shops, additionally to full service restaurants and the casual dining environment. As tiramisus have seen a global presence worldwide for many years, tiramisus are already becoming mainstream, so they are meaning very well established along the trend curve that Alex had presented before. And we can spot them across geographies like Australia, Brazil, Canada, Germany, UK, Philippines, Emirates, to name just a few. Now, I'm going to go to the more exciting parts and share with you in deep dive more details of how tiramisus are being reinvented. So the tiramisu format is a real playground for flavor explorations, including Asian profiles like black sesame and matcha, of course, but also lychee or miso, which is more on the savory side, red bean or pandan jelly. So pandan jelly, for those that aren't familiar, pandan leaves are very widely used in Southeast Asian desserts mainly. It's a leaf that is boiled or juiced, and it gives a very appealing bright green color to desserts, and it has a very nice fine flavor of vanilla and coconutty. So it's very Instagrammable color, just like matcha is bringing this green color onto the desserts. What we're also seeing is twists on the alcohol used. So to soak the biscuits, so the traditional Marsala wine is being swapped for Japanese sake, Kahlua, or Cointreau, and topped up with new items like dates, pistachios, orange zest, or lemons. Now, in terms of coffee, we see that the coffee culture is seeing a great expansion, and we're also seeing it reflected into this dessert with very specific information about the coffee origin or the coffee brewing type with cold drips, for example. Flavors are not the only changes in tiramisu. We see that this dessert is being included as a flavor profile. So building on the creamy coffee kind of flavor, we see it happening in other desserts like milk crepe, donuts, but also tartelettes, as well as in more grab-and-go friendly formats like field shoe that are now called tiramisu, which is quite a cute way to transform this tiramisu traditional dessert into fun and enjoyable on-the-go snacks. I'm going to move on to the crème brûlée. So crème brûlée is our next dessert. It's another very old school dessert that is becoming mainstream across multiple markets in new and creative forms, including fruits, spices, seasonal and regional ingredients added to the traditional recipe. And it now takes the form of pastries like tarts, drinkable beverages, pizzas, or sandwiches. Similarly to tiramisus, they also answer the consumer need for seeking for familiar comfort as well as the blissful escape when it's explored with other flavor, texture, or format variants. As this dessert is expanding in other formats, we're observing it appear in other channels than FSRs and catering. So we're seeing it now appear in cafes and bakery shops as well. We have spotted this various forms of tiramisus across countries like the US, Germany, Australia, Brazil, France, China, Singapore, Chile, and Pakistan. And now in terms of evolution or reinvention, the crème brûlées are like the tiramisus, influenced by Asian flavors like matcha, sesame, yuzu, and seasonal variants like pumpkin or corn, and topped with very contrasting and refreshing fruits like strawberries, blackberries, raspberries, or apricots, for example. In terms of formats, crème brûlée go beyond spoonable desserts, entering other menu items as a flavor profile that combine creamy vanilla custard and burnt caramel notes. And we're seeing this flavor kind of like naturally transitioning into ice cream or frozen applications like flavored frappes, milk teas, which are gaining popularity everywhere, coming from Asia, but as well as French toast, donuts, cronuts, or sweet sandwiches. So that's for the crème brûlée. We're going to move into the sandwiches, and I can very well imagine why a lot of you are scratching their heads, like, what are sandwiches doing on a dessert webinar? And well, the handheld convenient format that sandwiches offer is now also seen explored in dessert application. The most typical one, which you might have seen going around already for a few years, is the ice cream sandwiches. And we are really observing that sandwiches offer this possibility to combine contrasting textures, hot, cold, crispy, creamy, as well as flavors that are coming in a convenient format, which is interesting. So exactly what you were, that Alex shared with you before, we are seeing that handheld and eating with the hands is back in the game, basically. So really, this is what sandwiches have to offer here. So we see that sandwiches fillings between cookies, brownies, or waffles are elevating this very simple home snack where your peanut butter and jelly home snack is now turning into innovative, premium, and decadent desserts like ice cream sandwiches. We see this sweet sandwich trend gaining momentum in Australia, Canada, Chile, Germany, Mexico, Singapore, United Emirates, UK, or US as key geographies here. In terms of channels, this type of offer is seen in cafes, bakeries, as well as quick service restaurant channels. From the how it's been reinvented perspective, we see that there is a strong base of American influence from the classic staple snack of peanut butter and jelly sandwich, but also other American influenced profiles like s'mores, which refer to roasted marshmallows sandwiched in between crackers, as well as other typical American flavors like pumpkin spice or bubblegum. Other manifestations in other geographies we see are coming from more traditional dessert flavors like matcha again, malted-based biscuits, ube. So some of you might not know, but ube is a beautiful purple-colored sweet potato that comes from the Philippines and again has a very nice purple color to it, so very Instagrammable, and we see that ube in general is becoming more widely adopted than the mere Philippine borders. So black sesame filling, as well as other various berries like sweet aromatic spices and dairy-based flavors are seen in the sandwiches format. From a format standpoint, sandwiches are said not only made from standard bread slices, but also from cookies with cheesecake fillings, for example, waffles with ganache like chocolate spreads, but also cream cheese or buttercream that can even be dipped in chocolate sauce for exciting visual effects. So this is the on-the-go format that is opening a huge space for dessert innovations with many layers and filling combinations for you to explore with creativity. This is it for the sandwiches. Now I'm moving on to the soufflé pancake. And before I move on to the details of this dessert, I would like to invite Emmanuel, our executive chef, to tell us what soufflé pancakes are and what difference are there versus American pancakes. Manu, tell us.
Thank you, Marina. So basically, a soufflé pancake has the same base as normal pancake butter, but with beaten eggs white. That's the only difference to make it fluffy. So you can actually cook it in a cooking pan or in the oven with a pastry ring. You just put the batter inside the pastry ring, and you can even put an insert inside, like a ganache, chocolate ganache, like a crème pâtissière insert as well. So after the cooking, when you serve the soufflé pancake, you just cut it in half and it makes like a lava cake. So that's one of the ideas you can use on your menu. And so give it back to you, Marina, for the trends.
Perfect. Thank you, Manu, for this explanation. It really sounds like an appetizing, refreshing, and yet simple idea to try. So the soufflé pancake trend is coming from Japan, and it has already been spotted in Australia, Canada, Singapore, UK, US, as well as France and Germany. Now, from a channel perspective, as Alex explained earlier, most of the time, independent cafes and bakeries are where the new dessert explorations are starting to occur. So you can see here the soufflé pancakes were spotted in cafe channels, and this is an emerging trend. So we can expect this dessert, with its simplicity, to enter many other channels in the near future. Now, in terms of flavor and formats, we see that just like traditional American pancakes, these are served with sauce like honey, jam, butter, spreads, but also topped up with like hazelnuts or torch like brulee styles. As it comes from Japan, of course, it's also seen with Asian flavors like yuzu and black sesame. In terms of formats, there is less exploration happening here to date, as this is still a relatively new dessert, but we are seeing it filled, just like Manu said, filled with spreads for on-the-go consumption or directly infused with flavors. So I'm moving on to our last but not least dessert. This is the croissant wheel, and I'm going to invite Manu here again to tell us how this beautiful and appetizing dessert is made.
Thank you, Marina. So in order to achieve a normal croissant, you cut the dough in a triangle, and after you roll it. So you get the croissant. For the croissant wheel, you don't cut the dough like that. You just roll the whole dough, and after you cut slices of 3 centimeters, you put them on a cooking tray. You can even use a pastry ring as well if you want to have a nice round shape. You let it rest like a normal croissant dough before you cook it, and after you cook it in a normal oven, like a conventional oven, and you get your beautiful croissant wheel. That's really easy.
Perfect. Thank you very much, Manu. So probably some of you have seen this dessert on social media. This is, of course, a very eye-catching dessert, and it is clearly making a buzz. It's coming to us from New York, from a specific bakery that has started to launch this. But we have already spotted this in bakery channels in quite other countries like Australia, Singapore, UK, US, France, Canada, or Germany, as well as Switzerland, since we managed to get our hands on a few of those croissant wheels ourselves in the last month. So this dessert is really an emergent new dessert, so only found in bakery channels right now. And of course, since it's still quite new, there is a lot of possibilities that this dessert format offers, but there is less exploration that is done in terms of flavor fun and format variations right now. But overall, the dessert is rolled and topped with all sorts of spreads or fillings. Yeah, it's really a new format that is really opening up new exploration in terms of visuals, colors, textures, toppings, and fillings. So this is really for you to take in your hands and bring this trend alive and these flavor and format explorations to the next level. So this is it from a global dessert deep dive perspective. As mentioned earlier, in the interest of time, we only covered 5 desserts in detail out of the 12 that we have available in our report. You can access the other desserts by downloading the report following the webinar. I will hand over to Clégie to share with you some extra insights on the specific local dessert trends that is really a bonus from this webinar that we have together with World Chef today. So Clégie, handing over to you.
Thanks, Marina. Hello, everyone. I'm Clégie Duplon, and I'm very glad to be here talking to you today. I will be covering 5 emerging desserts in 5 countries. These trends have been identified in these countries, but of course, they can travel across the continents. You see that these examples are about adding something special to the dining experience, whether you're eating in or out of home. The next one, Marina, please. So let's get started with the emerging Brazil, the elevated croissant. We all know that croissants are delightful, right? Fully recognized by its flaky texture with the buttery layers that make croissants irresistible. What we have seen is that croissants are moving from an easy breakfast to another level, becoming a dessert experience by pairing croissants with complementary ingredients. This could include fresh fruits, drizzle of caramel or chocolate, whipped cream, or a scoop of ice cream. You can also serve it warm, which can enhance the indulgence. And don't forget a sprinkle of cinnamon. And last but not least, you can create an appealing visual presentation as this one from the picture, for example, and you'll be perfect. Easy to be found in bakeries. Then the next one, emerging Chile, sweet pretzels. Actually, the exact origin of pretzels are still debated, but it's commonly associated with the regions of Germany and Austria. It is also believed that the term pretzels is derived from the Latin word petiola, meaning little reward. It became popular as a salt snack, and now pretzels come in various forms and flavors, as such, chocolate, dulce de leche, or simply sugared. Easy to be found in QSRs, bakeries, and convenience. Now moving to emerging France, the cookie pie. This one is the best of 2 domains, cookies and pies, which consists of a large single cookie baked in a pie dish, often served warm with ice cream or whipped cream on top. Common fillings include chocolate chips, caramel, or even chunks or other types of cookies. Normally served by slices, but we've seen caterers offer them whole, made to order for sharing. Easy to be found in bakeries, FSR, and catering. The next one is about emerging Middle East, the Fumiap cake. It's also famous by the name of tsunami cake. It's a unique design that incorporates a surprise element when it's cut or served. The idea is that fillings and sauces are loaded on top of traditional cakes, encased in a cylindrical mold, then when pulled up, reveals the indulgent surprise, such as additional layers, shapes, or decorations. This type of cake could be fun, and creative way to enjoy a dessert, adding an element of excitement to the dining experience. We do recommend you to look for more information. We've seen some interesting videos in YouTube. Easy to be found in bakeries, FSR, and catering. Last but not least, the next one, emerging Singapore, ijspanner. Traditionally, an ijspanner is a Viennese coffee specialty that consists of a shot of espresso topped with whipped cream and served in a glass cup. It's typically enjoyed with a dusting of cocoa powder or chocolate shavings on top. It's a delightful beverage dessert that has gained popularity in recent years in South Korea and now emerging in Singapore, and it's easy to be found in cafes. Chef Manu, please can you share your experience with another similar drinkable dessert like this one?
Yes, Clégie, of course. We have a similar beverage found in South Korea. It's the dalgona. So dalgona, it's quite easy to achieve. It's a instant soluble coffee mixed with sugar and hot water that you whip for 5-10 minutes, and you get a kind of a mousse, hard mousse at the end that they usually put on top of hot milk for the beverage, but you can easily use that on top of a dessert, for example, like a panna cotta, even a crème brûlée, a chocolate mousse. It's kind of an espuma, and it's really easy to do, and it gives an extra flavor to your dessert, like a coffee flavor, and it's a great adding to your dessert, and it looks great. It's for social media pictures, it's great too. So it's a really light mousse that stay hard for 10 minutes, not more. And here we go.
Thanks, Manu. Sounds really delicious. It's wonderful to see how different flavors and desserts concepts are embraced in different countries. And so that's it. That's what I wanted to share with you today. And thank you so much for listening to me. And I hand over to Alex now.
With the question, thank you very much, Clégie, Marina, and Manu. So we reach the end of this more kind of presentation part, and we are now going into the Q&A. So if you have any question, don't hesitate to post them in the Q&A box, and we'll be happy to share them, to answer them with you. So first question: how do you rank, or how do you categorize the rank from each dessert? So maybe I can answer this one. It's really related to the methodology of the research. Basically, what we used, we looked at the prevalence of all of these desserts on menu, but not only if they appear a lot or not, but also where do they appear? If it's on a fine dining, if it's on a really on-trend restaurant, or is it on a different type of channel? This helps us to rank them. And then we also look at if they appear on social media, and where do they appear again, if it's mentioned by top trending people, or if it's appearing a bit of everywhere. And of course, we will look also if they appear in kind of a traditional media, which help us to also refine this ranking. So this is a bit how we are doing that. We have a second question about plant-based dairy, and if we can leverage this for tiramisu or crème brûlée. Maybe Marina, this one is for you.
I'm very happy to take this question. Excellent question, and so relevant. And yes, definitely. So in terms of plant-based tiramisu, we have seen that this dessert is really easy, say, to take plant-based twists on it. We are seeing it appear quite a lot actually already in Australia, UK, and LATAM. And mainly what is being replaced now is the mascarpone cream, and there are quite a few already in the market available nut-based creams that are able to translate and convert this traditional dairy-based dessert into a plant-based alternative. So already widely seen in Australia, UK, and LATAM for plant-based tiramisu. When it comes to crème brûlée and the takes on crème brûlée, what we're seeing is a little bit different. We're seeing plant-based appear more as a kind of like a mashup or in a different format traditionally, so more as a frozen flavor crème brûlée profile. And we're seeing this happen quite a bit in LATAM, in Chile, for instance. But what we're also seeing in China is within this traditional crème brûlée format, China is taking a plant-based tweak on it, which is as a tofu base, for instance. And we've seen this pop up in various locations. So yes, definitely crème brûlée in plant-based. And again, here, this is the cream and the eggs that are being replaced and swapped for tofu, almond, coconut, or cashew-based type of creams in this very popular dessert. So yes, plant-based is coming up and definitely starting to see some nice indulging variants of these desserts around.
Thank you, Maina. Okay, next question, and a bit of insight from someone about dessert concept in a Japan convenience store, where they see a strawberry cream sandwich with 2 breads and whipped cream and sliced strawberries. So could we see a possibility of converting traditional dessert like crème brûlée or cheesecake in the same matter? Maybe Emmanuel, do you want to answer this one?
Yeah, Alex, to answer this question. Well, after it's all about creativity. Honestly, you can take the traditional dessert and make pretty much whatever you want with it. I mean, I would say sky is the limit. But in this particular item that you mentioned, the sandwich in Japan, you can use 2 pieces of bread and put like insert of crème brûlée inside, flavor with fruit or whatever, and you will get the same result as if you were putting like a whipped cream. Actually, it's even better to put an insert of cooked crème brûlée inside, because your sandwich will last longer on the shelves or on the table. So yeah, of course you can pretty much put anything inside the 2 pieces of bread, like Marina mentioned earlier in the webinar. So here we go. But yeah, just remember, creativity is the key. Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right. So next question is about dessert trend in the future. So how do we see these desserts to be influenced in the next 3 years? Do you think they will maintain popularity and format? And if not, what are the new flavors and format do we anticipate to emerge? So for us, in terms of format, maybe I can start with the format, because what we are seeing more and more is really about this handheld and convenience that Maina already presented. And now more and more the bite size, as people are more and more concerned by health. The smaller format and bite size is very important. And then when we think about creativity, everything related to the layer or the innovation in terms of shape is also and it will remain important. I know, Maina, do you want to add a bit on?
No, I think you summarized it quite well. I think what we're seeing, I mean, tiramisu or crème brûlée, for example, they're very old desserts. What is changing and evolving as time goes is the discovery and exploration with new flavors. But I think at the end of the day, the trends are also in your hands. I mean, you are the chefs and you are the ones that are creating also this scene. Your creativity, your inspiration, your experience is what is going to define what happens tomorrow. So I think this is a very nice position for you guys to be in, to define and be trendsetters yourself as well.
Just if I can complement, in terms of format, mini is also very trendy. Yeah. And also it's very interesting because you can manage waste through the mini format. Yeah, just a compliment there.
Thank you. All right. So, Emmanuel, can we use crème fraîche in pancakes? This is the next question.
Not in the batter, but to add on top of the pancake, of course, yeah. And actually, if you make a soufflé pancake, you can put crème fraîche as an insert inside prior to cooking. Yeah, of course, yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And maybe another one for you, because it's really about your expertise in both savory and sweet. What is your take on using savory ingredients for making desserts? For example, a chef making panna cotta with basil, and with the tomato jam. What's your?
Yeah, for me, it's not a new thing. I remember when I was an apprentice in Normandy, where I come from, we used to make a strawberry soup, cold strawberry soup, but we were adding black pepper in the syrup. So that's not new. It's like 40 years old. So, and I think it's getting more and more trendy because now a lot of great chefs or even chefs, normal chefs, are using spices in their dessert. So like I said, black pepper, but also curcuma, even curry in the dessert. It's really nice. Paprika, chilies as well in the dessert. It's really good.
Your chocolate brownies are
Yeah.
quite a few.
Yeah, with chilies. So yeah.
Perfect. Thank you.
And also you can use beetroot in the dessert. It's really good. It brings a lot of texture and
Great color as well.
yeah, great color. Potatoes, carrots. I mean, everybody knows carrot cake. So usually we use carrot for savory dishes, but you can see that in dessert it's really good too. So voila. I hope I answered your question, Alex.
I think so, yeah. And maybe another one is this is also technical, so I think this is for you.
Okay.
Do you need to probe the croissant wheels?
Yes. The question is definitely yes. It's the same process as a normal croissant. So yeah, follow strictly the same for the croissant wheel because at the end it's a croissant. It's only the shape who is different. So the whole process is the same.
Yeah.
The dough is the same and the whole process is the same.
Okay.
Yeah.
We have a question for you, Clégie, around the elevated croissant. If you can talk a bit more about this application.
Okay, so this one emerged in Brazil. So the idea is you have your croissant, your normal croissant, and you can pair it with complementary ingredients. Okay, so you can put whipped cream in the middle, caramel, chocolate sauces. On the top, you can use ice cream or whipped cream on the top. Again, chocolate sauce. So I would say that the sky, like Chef Manu said, the sky is the limit. You can have your creativity to elevate this croissant, this simple croissant, as we said before. So it's croissants are taking another level. So from an easy breakfast to this more, let's say, exciting dessert experience.
Yeah. All right. Thank you, Clégie.
No problem.
Okay, another one about more kind of fusion. What is your take on making desserts infusing different cuisine to make a unique take? What are the chances of it being popular? So for I can start maybe. I think this is always a very good source of inspiration and a good way to innovate, to bring different type of inspiration from different area of the world and bring this into a unique application. So I think this is already popular and will only grow in popularity.
Yes, Alex. If I just can add a little something, maybe you will find that old school, but I'm a really classical French chef, and I always respect the techniques that I learned before and when I was young. And okay, you can create anything, but always respect the product and the classical way of doing things. Okay. You can try everything, but I would say that we need to keep this heritage of culinary basics that we learn at school and that we read in the book like the Escoffier. So please, yeah, try everything, but always respect the heritage. Okay, thanks a lot, and be creative, of course.
All right. Maybe another question for you, since you brought this. Dalgona. What does it mean, actually?
Dalgona, that's a good question.
It came from Korea, right? You said.
Yeah, it's from Korea, yeah.
It's about whisking instant coffee, right? Whisking it together with water, like if you would
Water
do
and sugar,
egg
yeah.
whites, right? So water, sugar, and you whisk this instant coffee into really like a foam and an espuma.
Yeah.
But the name origin, it's true. Huh?
But I think Alex find out.
Yeah, I had to go back to my Korea lessons. So the translation means it's sweet. It's in that, so it's really coming, so Korea trends, and it's a basic meaning of it's sweet. And it is also related to the name of a sweet dessert from there, or a sweet snack, sorry. So maybe if someone from Korea is listening, maybe they can elaborate and bring you more insight on this one. All right. There's a question also related to those Dalgona or Vienna's coffee. If it's something of a fad, and how do we make sure that this has a concrete standing in the world of gastronomy?
I think with trends in general, it's not very easy to determine. What we are seeing is that at the moment, the trends overall with the macro trends and the social drivers that you have mentioned, people are looking for things that they can relate to in one way or another. So I think the croissant wheel, for example, is a very good example of this, because you're using croissant and puff pastry to bring that element of familiarity, yet invent something completely new that looks very different, that also has a different texture. It's much crunchier, much denser than the very aerated croissant. So I will make that as a first analogy, but we are seeing that this familiarity and this exploration is growing. So in the world of coffee, we see that countries which were not known to be traditionally coffee countries, like the Asian countries, like Korea, like Japan, which are much more rooted into all sorts of teas, they are now adopting coffee, and they are exploring it because it's a world of discovery for them. Just like for us, it's a discovery to try yuzu, matcha, ube, and flavors like this. We're kind of like exchanging traditional cultures and traditional influences across the world to bring this new dimensions around.
Thank you. Yeah. And on this one, do you see that classical are going to take over in terms of dessert trends? And what is the influence of Asian flavor in the future?
Okay, this is my very personal opinion, not rooted in research or anything, but for having lived in Singapore for 7 years, and now being back into Europe for the last 4 years, what I see is that we're getting more and more specific about Asian influence in the Western world. So it started off with yuzu, I think, back then matcha is really taking a swamp into every single desserts or beverages around, including matcha lattes and whatnot. But we're now getting into new ingredients. So it's a bit like we're discovering more and more. The more we're scratching the Asian culture, the more we're making new discoveries. And ube or pandan are two of the examples that I see, or I had no clue about when I went in Asia. And now that I'm back in Europe, I can see them coming in. So we're getting more specific about very unique Asian flavors. So I think there is still a whole world to discover about Asia, and there will be more and more flavors coming in.
Thank you. Okay, so maybe you can take a few last couple of questions. do we see a trend towards more kind of a simplicity in the next few years? We see a lot of high-end pâtissiers like Philippe Conticini, Cédric Grolet, that are moving toward that. So what's your take, maybe, Manuel?
I think, yeah, the new trend, okay, those names, Cédric and Philippe Conticini, they are really creative. They are actually, Cédric is a pastry chef in a palace. He opened a nice boutique in Paris. And they tend to actually simplify their dessert. Okay, they look complex, like the last dessert from Cédric is a kind of cookie, big cookie cake, which is made by, with several layers of different stage of cooking of the cookie dough. Okay, so the base is raw cookie dough. The second one is a half-baked cookie dough, but you always have like fresh fruit and inside like you have strawberry, raspberry puree inside. But the base is really simple. So, and the final look of this cookie, it's not really complicated. You know, it's just layers of the cookie dough, the fruit puree, and on top of it, it's kind of a nappage on it. So I would say that the trend is like, yeah, more to simplify the look of the dessert, but the complexity is inside. 10 or 15 years ago, we used to have dessert like it used to like plastic models. Honestly, it was so complicated, so fine designed, and it looks like pretty much a jewelry, a jewel. Okay. Now we tend to simplify the look, the overall look of the pastry, but with genuine and fresh product inside, and to simplify the recipe. Okay. I don't say that Cédric make a simple dessert, because it's not the case, but he uses like just a few ingredients, like he's playing with the different degree of cooking of the cookie dough, for example, but the base is the same, it's a cookie dough. And after, the fruit is the same. He has fresh strawberries, and after he makes a puree with it and a nappage with it. Okay, so we stay with really simple ingredients at the end. So I hope I answer the question correctly.
Very well, thank you. Maybe a last question. Do you need a pastry chef to create all those recipes, Manu?
I wouldn't say so, because as chefs, we learn the basic of pastry. So we all know how to make a crème brûlée, a meringue, a sponge cake, I guess. I mean, that's the basic, like crème caramel, things like this. So to put those desserts that we just talked about in the webinar, no, I don't think you need a pastry chef, a real pastry chef. I mean, I love pastry chef, so don't get me wrong. But if you can't afford a pastry chef, or you have the space to have a pastry chef in your kitchen, in your operation, I think a good chef can achieve those kind of desserts, or at least can try.
Yeah.
Just to complement this one, if you feel you need a real support to elevate your desserts menu and create recipes, you have our chef-to-chef network, Nestlé Professional Chef-to-Chef Network, that we can provide the support for you. Yeah.
Exactly. So I saw also a lot of questions about what's about my markets. So don't hesitate also to contact your local Nestlé Professional team. I'm sure that they can help you there. All right. So I think this was the last question. So Lynn, over to you.
Yes. So thank you so much for such an insightful webinar. As we can all see from the chat, we got a lot of messages from participants all over the world to thank you for taking your time to share with us a very well-researched resource, as well as your personal experience working with different types of dessert. And on behalf of the organizer of the webinar, I would like to thank all the audience members who are here with us today. Thank you for spending your time. Thank you for submitting your questions to our experts. After this event, you would be able to download the research on our website, as well as rewatching it and claiming your digital badge and certificate. So we hope to see you at our next event. For those of you who want to ask more questions to our expert, we actually have a rerun of this webinar this afternoon at 4 p.m. Paris time. So if you want to join us, the experts are there live again to answer more questions from you. So thank you so much, everyone. Have a great continuation of your day.
Thank you very
Thank
much,
you.
Thank you very
everybody.
much. It
Thank
was a
you.
pleasure.
Have a good day. Bye-bye.
Yeah.
Thank you for hosting, Mon Chef.
Thank you. It's a pleasure.